Do you ever feel like the labels we use for ourselves, like introvert or extrovert, just don't quite capture the whole story of who you are? Like there's a deeper, more nuanced melody playing within you, one that these broad categories can't quite describe. So many of us feel that way. We sense that our inner world is rich and complex, full of different ways of seeing, feeling, and knowing. It's this very richness that Carl Jung, a wise explorer of the human spirit, was so interested in. He noticed that while we all have our unique ways of being, there are some common patterns to how we gather information and make decisions, how we interact with the world around us and the world within. He called these our cognitive functions, but don't let the term sound too clinical. Think of them more like our inner tools or different languages our soul speaks. Understanding them isn't about putting ourselves into new boxes, but about gently unlocking a deeper understanding of our own true nature, and perhaps even finding more harmony in our connections with others. Jung suggested there are 4 main ways we experience and process life: sensation, intuition, thinking, and feeling. We all have access to all 4 like a palette of beautiful colors, but often 1 or 2 feel more natural, more like home for us. Let's explore these together, shall we? Imagine you're walking through a forest. Someone who leads with sensation might be the first to notice the exact shade of green on a new leaf, the texture of the moss underfoot, the crispness of the air, the specific scent of pine. They are deeply connected to the present moment, to what is real, tangible, and directly experienced through the senses. They trust what they can see, touch, taste, hear, and smell. They often have a wonderful appreciation for the details of life and bring a practical, grounded energy to things. If you're someone who values concrete facts and enjoys hands-on experiences, sensation might be a strong part of your nature. It's the part of us that asks, what is actually here right now? Then there's intuition. The person leading with intuition, walking through that same forest, might be less focused on the individual leaves and more on the feeling of the forest as a whole, the ancient stories the trees seem to whisper, or the sudden insight about where a hidden path might lead. Intuition is about seeing the big picture, the connections between things, the possibilities that lie beyond the obvious. It's future-oriented, imaginative, and comfortable with abstract ideas. If you often find yourself daydreaming, making leaps of insight, or fascinated by symbols and underlying meanings, intuition might be a close friend to you. It's the part of us that wonders, what could this mean? What could be next? Jung once said, intuition does not denote something contrary to reason, but rather a different kind of reasoning. And what I think he means by that for you and me is that our hunches, those gut feelings, aren't just random. They're our intuition hard at work, piecing together information in a way that's different from step-by-step logic, but often just as profound. It's like a deep, quiet knowing, grasping patterns and potentials that lie just beneath the surface of the everyday. Now, let's think about how we make decisions based on what we perceive. This is where thinking and feeling come in. Someone who naturally uses thinking as their primary way of making decisions will approach that forest, or any situation, with a desire for logic and objectivity. They'll analyze, categorize, and look for principles. If a decision needs to be made, they'll weigh the pros and cons, seeking fairness and consistency. They value clarity and intellectual honesty. If you find yourself naturally stepping back to analyze situations, to find the most logical solution, or to understand the underlying structure of things, thinking is likely one of your core strengths. This function asks, is this logical? Is it true? What are the principles at play? And then there's feeling. Not feeling in the sense of fleeting emotions, but a deep, considered way of making decisions based on values and human connection. The person leading with feeling in that forest, or in any life choice, will consider the impact on others. They'll ask, what feels right? How will this affect everyone involved? What will create or maintain harmony? They're guided by empathy, compassion, and a desire for authentic connection. If you are often attuned to the emotional atmosphere around you, if you prioritize relationships and strive for outcomes that feel good and right for people, then feeling is a powerful part of who you are. This function seeks to understand what is important to us, what do we value. It's so important to remember that we all use all 4 of these functions. You might recognize yourself strongly in one and see glimpses of the others. Often, one becomes our dominant, most trusted way of navigating the world, and we develop another one to support it. For example, you might be a sensation type who uses thinking to organize the facts you gather, or an intuitive type who explores the human impact of your ideas. And what about the functions that feel less familiar, perhaps even a little awkward for us? Jung called this our inferior function. This isn't a bad thing at all. In fact, it holds incredible potential for our growth. It's like a hidden room in our inner house, one we haven't explored much. Getting to know this less used part of ourselves can feel a bit clumsy at first, but it's often where our greatest wisdom and opportunities for becoming more whole reside. It's the path towards what Jung called individuation, becoming more fully and authentically ourselves, integrating all these different facets of our being. For instance, someone who is very much a thinking type might find their feeling function less developed. They might sometimes struggle to tune in to the emotional needs of others, or even their own deeper values. But by gently exploring this feeling side, perhaps by consciously trying to understand others' perspectives, or by connecting with art or nature in a more emotive way, they can unlock a new richness in their lives and relationships. Similarly, a strong intuitive type might find the practical, detailed world of sensation a bit challenging. But by engaging with hands-on activities, or by simply taking the time to notice the sensory details of their day, they can find a new sense of grounding and presence. Understanding these functions helps us move beyond those simple labels of introvert or extrovert. You see, you can be an introverted thinker, quietly analyzing the world from within, or an extroverted thinker, eager to debate ideas and implement logical systems. You can be an introverted feeler, deeply nurturing close relationships, or an extroverted feeler, radiating warmth and creating harmony in groups. Sensation and intuition also express themselves differently depending on whether our energy flows primarily inwards or outwards. These functions add layers, depth, and so much beautiful complexity to the picture. This isn't about diagnosing ourselves or others. It's about compassion. It's about self-acceptance. When we understand our own natural ways of being, we can be kinder to ourselves, recognizing our strengths and the areas where we might want to gently stretch and grow. And when we realize that others have different dominant functions, different ways of seeing and processing the world, it can open up so much understanding and patience in our relationships. We can start to appreciate why someone else might approach a problem so differently, or why they value things that we might overlook. It allows us to meet each other with more grace. Think of it as learning the unique language of your own soul, and also learning to appreciate the diverse languages spoken by the souls around you. There's no right or wrong way to be, no superior or inferior function in the grand scheme of things. Each holds its own wisdom, its own beauty. The journey is about recognizing and honoring all these parts within ourselves, allowing them to work together, guiding us toward a more integrated, authentic, and fulfilling life. It's about embracing our whole self. So, as you go about your days, perhaps you can gently observe yourself. Notice which of these ways of being feels most natural to you. When you're gathering information, do you lean more towards the concrete details of sensation or the sweeping possibilities of intuition? When you're making a decision, does the logic of thinking take the lead or the relational wisdom of feeling? There are no tests needed, just gentle, curious awareness. This exploration can be a quiet comfort, a way to understand why you are the way you are, and to appreciate the unique gifts you bring to the world. What about you? As you've listened, did any of these ways of being, sensation, intuition, thinking, or feeling, particularly resonate with you? Or perhaps you recognized a pattern in someone you care about? I'd love to hear your gentle reflections in the comments below. It's always so beautiful to learn from each other. Thank you for sharing this quiet moment of reflection with me. Remember, your unique way of seeing and being in the world is a gift. Trust the unfolding of your own inner path. May your journey inward bring you light and a deep sense of peace. Until next time.